And I could hear Helmut think, you'll be in the Red Bull car next year. Does he want to be in the Red Bull car next year next to Max?
Great weekend for Oscar.
Unbelievable.
Piastri.
Unbelievable.
7 wins now in 15 races.
Yeah.
34 points now the gap after, of course, Lando.
Lewis saying, I'm not good enough, it must be the driver. I'm sure there was some stress in Maranello, but to be honest, with this car, I don't see them winning in Monza.
Any whispers this past weekend as to where Mr. Horner...
Everybody in the paddock is convinced Christian will come back.
Well, after the summer break, it is delightful to be back. You are listening to the Pit Talk podcast, powered, of course, by Ithara. And as he lives and breathes, the man is back. He is the great traveller. It is the one and only Robert Doornbos, alongside myself, Chris McHardy, back.
Good to be back.
It's great to be
in
back.
our favourite podcast studio.
And it's great to see you, my friend.
Yeah, in real life, without all the technical hazards and difficulties. So
our listeners and viewers knew the hassles that we've gone
stressful.
through.
Life in F1 was easy compared to...
I'm surprised you're not divorced from your wife.
Happy wife, happy life.
Yeah, exactly. You've had all manner of problems over the summer, but it's great to be back.
Yeah, it's great to be back, and particularly to kick it off after the Dutch Grand Prix. Fresh from Holland. I flew in yesterday, so lots to talk about.
So much to talk about. Let's go there first and foremost. After 3 weeks, Robert, Dutch Grand Prix, Zandvoort, home for you.
Yes.
You were there. You've got so many stories for us.
It was. I mean, it's a home track, for the Dutch fans, and it's mega. It's the 5th edition, prepping for the final lap next year. So it's a bit of with a smile and a tear, everybody, because it's almost done. But it's been incredible, and I think the performance of Max, for some reason, they say driving in front of your own audience gives you an extra push. Well, that looked like it at the first lap. You remember turn 1, turn 3. I mean, he was on it. Definitely not the fastest car, but to finish P2 was mega. For Oscar to get his Grand Slam, pole position, most laps led, fastest lap in the race, and victory. I mean, the championship leader, it was on it. And the best, certainly last but not least on the podium, Isaac Hadjar. I mean, I was a guest at the Racing Bulls team for the weekend. So I spent some time in the garage and I could just feel the energies. They want me back for next weekend because I bring luck. So the Italians were like, Roberto, you have to come back. You bring luck to this team. Ti porta fortuna.
Just get on the plane.
I have to get back on the plane. But it's nice to see because there was some old mechanics from Minardi days, and don't forget, for a team like Racing Bulls, they have a good car this year, but to finish on a podium for them, it's like winning the World Championship almost. It's the dot on the horizon to score points, but to have a podium, I mean, and he was faultless.
How impressed, and again, so much for us to get into and unpack. We'll get to the Cadillac story from this past week as well. They've got their driver lineup sorted for 2026. But just on the subject of Isaac Hadjar, been a lot of chat about him this season. You saw him up close and personal. Just how impressed are you with him, not just in the car, Robert, out of the car as well?
Well, I think from a driver point of view, he wasn't rated the top rookie at the start of the season. We have Kimi Antonelli, who was prepped by Mercedes, and it cost millions they put into his career already to prep him for this level. And it's not really showing at this stage with Kimi. Then we have Gabriel Bortoleto, who won basically every championship he competed in on his way to F1. Yes, very impressive. But I have to say, Isaac Hadjar still stands on top.
So what is that?
For some reason, in Formula 2, he was good, but he was not mega. That everybody said, okay, this is going to be the next big thing in F1. Red Bull, we all know, they give young talent a chance. Well, Helmut Marko said, you will get your chance in F1, so we're going to drop you in. Melbourne this year, maybe you remember, qualifying was good for Isaac, but the first lap out of the pit box on his way to the grid, he spun the car and he crashed the car, and he thought his life in F1 was over. I was there in Melbourne. I saw him walking through the pit lane with his shoulders hanging like this, helmet on. He was embarrassed. He thought, this is it. This is the worst moment for a Formula 1 driver, and particularly for a rookie in F1, to come back after 14 races to get your first podium. The adrenaline, like I said, I was looking at him in the pit box before qualifying. It was like a boxer preparing for a fight. He had the music on, the rap music on. Then he was shaking around like this, put his helmet on, hit himself 2 times on his helmet, like, rah, I'm going to get in and I'm going to do a mega lap. And he did. P4 on the grid, next to Max Verstappen in the big sister team, So
I'm always reminded, it's interesting, Robert, that those kind of intangibles, right? You do all your homework, and as you say, Bortoleto winning everything. You've got Kimi Antonelli, who was seen at a very young age. I liken it a little bit, and hear me out here, because this is a bit of a reach. But Tom Brady in American football, what was he, 199th pick, 6th round, and yet he's seen now as the GOAT. I'm not for one second saying that Isaac Hadjar will go on to become the GOAT of Formula One, but it's those things that you can't touch upon.
No.
You just become comfortable being elevated.
Comfortable at that level and not being
fraud.
Yeah, not being too much impressed with life in F1. There are many drivers that were good in junior formulas, but then in F1 wouldn't make it. And for some reason, he feels like a fish in the water, we say in the Netherlands. He's comfortable, he's there. In qualifying, he's one of the few drivers that hasn't been bumped out of Q1 all season and not being in the fastest car. His experienced teammate Liam, he's leaving him in his shadow. And this will only give him more confidence. The little French Moroccan guy who's on fire.
He will have a big career. I guess the $1 million question, and I know we're going to get to some of the movers and shakers for next year, but he will be on the wanted list, I'm sure, of a few teams.
But the problem is, Chris, I was standing next to Helmut Marko when he ran towards his team, Isaac Hadjar, after finishing third, to celebrate with his team. And I could hear Helmut think, you'll be in the Red Bull car next year. Does he want to be in the Red Bull car next year next to Max? He says he doesn't fear anything and he's happy, but he's a Red Bull driver and Red Bull will decide where to and when to put you in a racing car. And to be honest, at the moment, the Racing Bull looks like a more forgiving car to drive, a faster car. Only in the hands of Max, the Red Bull is quick, and all the other drivers have failed up until now.
You're right, but it's the poison chance.
So maybe he's It's if you get too much success in the junior team, that will hurt you in the end.
Good luck, because you've got the second seat at Red Bull. Listen, before we get to the race, what else was going on off the track? I know you were here, there and everywhere.
Well, depressing atmosphere at Ferrari again after the summer break. They got into the summer break with some negative thoughts. Remember Charles Leclerc shouting over the radio in Hungary, "How did you manage to destroy my race again?"
You had Lewis saying, "Just sack me. I'm not good."
Yeah, it sacked me exactly. So Charles Leclerc started on pole, finished fourth, I think, in Hungary, and was like, "Guys, how did we mess this one up?" Lewis saying, "I'm not good enough. It must be the driver." I'm sure there was some stress in Maranello. How are we gonna, cope with it in the second part of the season? And then what Lewis did on race day, I still can't believe it. That would happen to a rookie, and not to one of the all-time greats in Formula One.
Does that tell us mentally where he is, Robert?
The body language says enough. If I see him move through the paddock, I've seen a different Lewis many times. With his head up, in the Mercedes days, and he's now with his hoodie on his little scooter, going from A to B. The distances are long in the Dutch F1 paddock, but he doesn't.
Does he look isolated? Because
he looks isolated.
We've talked about it a lot. New team,
yeah.
Obviously different nationalities to deal with. Does he come across to you as looking a bit lonely?
Bit lonely, disappointed with himself. He's a spiritual guy, and he can, put himself in a place maybe not as always the best place to be in. And I think as a team boss, Frederic Vasseur tries to get him out of that place. But come on, it's a 7-time world champion. You shouldn't tell him how to drive a race car. He knows what his weaknesses are and what his strengths are. But at the moment, not much strength to see.
Crashed out. Confirmation as well. A 5-place grid penalty.
For the big one in Monza. I mean, we all know Ferrari, if they win in Monza, their whole season is covered. Everybody's happy. The Tifosi forgets everything. But to be honest, with this car, I don't see them winning in Monza. I
know we've spent an awful lot of time, a lot of my mates watch and listen to the podcast, and they're like, you guys talk about Lewis a lot. And it's like, well, he's a 7-time world champion.
Yeah,
for goodness sake. He is driving for, I think, which the majority of us would agree is the number one team, historically.
Should be.
In Formula One. It's Ferrari.
Yeah. It's the biggest name.
You saw him this weekend. You remarked upon his body language, etc. Where does this all end, Robert? Is there a feeling, having been there this weekend and seen it, could they pull the pin at the end of this year?
Well, that would be very sad, and I don't think that would be the smartest thing to do because there's a big rule change coming. If the rules wouldn't change in 26, I would say as Ferrari and Lewis, let's probably sit down. Are we still motivated enough to continue this journey? I know we all know he has a 2-year contract. with the extension options. But if the Ferrari engine, I almost said Mercedes because I think that will be the biggest engine. But if Ferrari manages to build a good engine for the 26 rules, and suddenly Lewis can sniff again the taste of victory, he might come back to his old Lewis driving style. But at the moment, there's not a lot of good.
Yeah, I've always been a believer that form is temporary, class is permanent.
Yeah.
So you and I have had many conversations. I've always thought Lewis is a 7-time world champion. Give him a car, he will find it.
He was one lap away from being the all-time great with 8 titles, let's be honest, in Abu Dhabi 21. So since then, he hasn't really recovered.
But I've started to doubt it, Robert. And I think it's because I now see it. Because I think Lewis is doubting it. I think Lewis
is doubting himself. Yeah, if he just look back at the list, what he has achieved. That's like we talk about junior drivers now. Isaac Hadjar, the youngest French guy ever to be on a podium, one of the 5th youngest podium finishers of all time. He was a guy like that, Everybody talks about him, the next big thing, and he proved it to everybody. But now he's missing it.
Yeah, he is missing it. One man who's not, and I can't believe it's taken us 10-15 minutes to get there. Great weekend for Oscar.
Unbelievable.
Piastri.
Unbelievable.
7 wins now in 15 races.
Yeah.
34 points now the gap after, of course, Lando. Yeah. Sickening for Lando. I mean, that McLaren has been the absolute epitome of consistency. No real mechanical issues, engineering issues.
But to be honest, the cars this year, Chris, they seem bulletproof. Yeah. I haven't seen, the old days, the big flames coming out. I had them as well. Barbecue in turn 4 and whoop, flames coming out. We haven't seen this in a long time. So their engine regulations, everybody's very cautious with it. You don't want to lose points by losing a car. And now McLaren and particularly Lando lost a lot of points. For the constructors, it doesn't make a big difference. They will become world champion. But for the championship battle, and we all still want all roads lead to Abu Dhabi, that we have the final there between those two guys. And it did give me the feeling of 2016 when Lewis lost his engine in Malaysia, that Rosberg thought, this is my opportunity, it's now or never. And then he still had to win it in the final race in Abu Dhabi. So everything is still possible.
Because, we've talked about Oscar has been a model of consistency all season. He makes few mistakes. Given the McLaren, given the car underneath him as well, he's going to finish in the points.
The record of most consecutive finishes is 48 in the hands of Lewis Hamilton. He's on 43 at the moment. He will beat that record in this fashion. He never gives up. Melbourne, it started off very bad for him with that spin, and he was in the grass, lawn mowing, and then he finally got going again. Still finished. But to get a Grand Slam, this will do something with your confidence.
34 points. I think, what is there, 225 up for grabs?
Yeah. But still, it's not like he can finish second every race and still win it. He still needs to... And maybe for Lando, there's this little monkey off his back now, pressure monkey, saying, nothing to lose. I'm going to finish second anyhow in the championship. We go all in and try to win all of them.
How gutted are you, though?
Yeah.
How gutted
was he already after qualifying? First practice, second practice, third practice, he was up there.
And then
0.012, he loses out in quali. And that's already, that's the difference between during lunch, you just have an extra bit of pasta. What is 0.012? That's nothing around the place in Zandvoort, 4.8 kilometers through the dunes. So that was the first mental hit, and then he did it in the race.
But given the fact there was a lot of chatter leading into the race that this was Lando's weekend.
After having won so dominantly last year, 22-second lead over Max. So he came in there, Lando, thinking, this is going to be mine.
So what does that do to him mentally?
Well, it hurts, but it's a small difference. And probably with strategy, he might, could have pushed Oscar into a small mistake, perhaps. But we will never know. I think Oscar is, like you said, is a machine.
He is a machine.
He's a machine. And he makes Lando look nervous. That's what shows a little bit in the paddock. If Oscar, I was at the McLaren motorhome, and then he walks in, Oscar, and Lando walks in, and Zach, after each other to do interviews. The way Lando still interacts with the public, it's nice to see. That's his character. And Oscar is like he just woke up. He walks in, has a hand in his pocket. He has his values in life, and he talks well, but he's not bothered or something. I
like making comparisons. You know me well enough now to know this. dare I say, it's a little bit like Yannick Sinner and Carlos Alcaraz in tennis.
Yeah.
Oscar's Yannick, machine-like,
Yeah.
little emotion.
Yeah.
Lando, a little bit more temperamental. You feel that when Lando's at it, a little bit like Carlos Alcaraz, no one can live with him.
Yeah.
But you know you've got the peaks and the troughs.
Yeah.
You know there's going to be moments where little mistakes come in. A little bit like Carlos, whereas Yannick, very much like
He's
Oscar.
steady, he is up there, focused, does his thing, and he's not bothered with the media. You know, he's part of the world of Formula One, and he has to be up there and talk to the sponsors. But it's not like he's... he will only give 1% of his brain to this media event. Similar to Max. He doesn't give a shit about the media. He doesn't care. But it's part of the business, so he has to be there. But he keeps all his focus on driving that car as fast as possible. And to be honest, it's his third year now in F1, and he's flawless.
You've said all lead to Abu Dhabi. AbuDhabiGP.com still available, of course. Tickets, hospitality packages, after race concert, Golden Circle tickets. You can check it all out. Of course, this podcast powered by the good
You
ship.
can win them here, the tickets with us.
You can win the tickets here, by the way. You've got to follow us on our Instagram account, the Pit Talk Pod. Do check us out on there. But all roads lead to Abu Dhabi. We've been talking a lot about the fact it should hopefully come down to that final race. There's work now to be done for Lando to get us back to that point.
All in, nothing to lose. Try to win every
And he
Grand
said
Prix.
that, right? He's almost said, hey, listen, I can't go nicey nice now. I've got to throw caution to the
And
wind.
it can be an advantage for us as enthusiasts, as fans, as being part of the sport, to see Lando maybe now on another level performing. We'll see. The exciting 9 races left.
Dutch Grand Prix, of course, your home race. I was reading in the build-up to it, ticket sales were down. You told me that come race day, though, the sun was shining, it was actually a sellout.
The predictions were like 90% chance of rain, so everybody would thought, okay. The thing with the Dutch is we're proud, we're a proud nation, and it almost started off too good. So Bernard, the royal family who owns the track, doesn't get government support, has his family offices and Dutch companies that support him as founders of this huge event. But at the end of the day, it's a 75 million euro costing event. So he has to commit with his partners each year, 75 million, just to make sure he gets all the money back from ticket sales and corporate hospitalities and lounges, etc. And it was a sellout for the first 3 years, with Max winning the races, winning championships. Don't forget, I mean, he won 4 titles out of the 5 times they hosted this Grand Prix. Finished 5 times on the podium. We finished second twice now. And I believe the Dutch fans thought, on the Friday, we'll take it easy, and if it's raining, I've seen it before. But then suddenly the weather cleared up, and it was a sellout on the Saturday and the Sunday. So it was a great event again.
What was Max's body language like? Because yes, we know conjecture around his future, put to bed a few weeks back.
Yeah,
it's going to be at Red Bull for 2026.
Yeah,
home race, the limelight not really on him, given the fact it's Oscar and Lando.
Well, the limelight is still on him. I mean, it's Max Verstappen. Basically, he's the man in the Netherlands, and there's more international interest though. So for Dutch Grand Prix was looking at is it sustainable if Max would quit in F1? Would it be sustainable? I think not enough yet. That's why they've made the decision to do the final lap next year. But to see Max on the Friday, I saw him just after free practice 1. He wasn't so happy. We talked about the summer break and other stuff because I saw already the body language inside the car. His hand was out of the car. Too much understeer. If he has understeer in the car, forget it. He needs the car to be pointy, sharp, where to place it. In particular in a track like Zandvoort, it's small, it's narrow, it's fast, it's flowing. So his pace didn't show on Friday, and then it's Red Bull. They work hard over the night in the simulators, back in the factory, and the Saturday qualifying, boom. He was there again. So his attitude changed throughout the weekend, and I think he ended up being very happy with a P2 finish.
Second place, not bad in the end, given the fact the McLarens have been so dominant. One man who you said a little bit different in his kind of demeanour. It's a bloke that we've actually talked about on this pod. We were talking off air about next season, who's going to be there with the regulation changes. Aston Martin. No Adrian Newey there. I asked you whether you bumped into Adrian. He wasn't there. Lance Stroll is someone that I know got under your skin this weekend, Robert.
But the thing is, it's a summer break. You come back. His attitude on media day on Thursday is not like all the other drivers. Being excited. It can be a character thing. but then also perform on track, you would say. He destroys the car in practice, but to do it properly, you can say if you take off a corner, no, he take off 2 corners, gearbox, everything. So the mechanics had to rebuild the car overnight. It was a late night, long night, new chassis. Come qualifying, he bins it in Q1, but by turning in onto the grass, you can't get away with it anymore, you would say. Any other driver, the pressure would pile too much. But the full weekend, you always have to look at the end of the weekend, what's the score? And the score was good because he finished from almost last on the grid to P7. He scored strong points. So I would say he got away with it in Zandvoort. But to be honest, you expect a driver from his caliber, from his experience, to start delivering consistent weekends. Like now it's too high, too low, too high, too low.
The mechanics and engineers, now I appreciate their job is to put a car on the track. So it's part and parcel. If you're going to stay up all night fixing a car,
they will do it.
They've signed up for that. Does finishing P7 forgive all of what's gone on before?
Well, points. At the end of the day, points, and every team in F1 works with a bonus structure. So for the mechanics, points means money, and points means happiness, and points means growth. And at the end of the day, I think the Aston Martin car was fast around this place. They had a good car in Budapest, which is a similar track. It's short, flowing circuit. I think Alonso, all practices, he was up there in the top 10, and he delivered as well on the Sunday. So, I think all in all, it was a positive weekend. Just a little bit of the damage bill for Lance was like, okay, we have to sign that off. And at the end of the day, the damage bill, I would expect it to be 2 corners, another corner, up at minimum 2.5 million, 2 million for the weekend. For sure. I mean, and if you think about your development on the car, you have $145 million budget for the year. That's wind tunnel work, like a similar wind tunnel model here. That's experienced with research and development, etc. You have to take over the 2 million, so you have less to spend. So you hurt the team in the long run with damaging the car. And if you think about some drivers like Oscar, for example, he hasn't even damaged the front wing this year, and he's leading the world championship. I mean, that's mega.
That's an owner's dream.
That's an owner's dream. Yeah.
You have a driver not causing any damage and winning races.
If there's some previous team owners of mine watching this podcast, I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry.
And there's no penalties. He is. It's not like he gets money deducted from his contract.
No, there are no penalties.
Part and parcel, right?
It's part of the game. It's part of F1. That some drivers crash. I think it was quite a messy Friday. Anyhow, with drivers spinning off. Even Max hit the gravel trap. That's a long time ago. He was on the beach, with his car, not physically.
Yeah.
It was a great Dutch Grand Prix weekend, all in all.
It is. I've never done it. I've never experienced it. Given the fact you called it, I think they're calling it the final lap next year, the final race.
The final lap.
And that's it done.
That's it done. It took us 36 years. I say us, proud Dutch, to get the Grand Prix back to Zandvoort. Max was the platform for it. And I think we extracted maximum out of it. But I don't see any... the next big talent like Max is not coming from the Netherlands, I think.
I've got to tell this little tale because I was chuckling about it. Of course, you hobnob with very important people, Robert. You were doing a bit of a seminar this past weekend over at Zandvoort. Who were you rubbing shoulders with? Who did you introduce onto the stage?
Well, I had to introduce my mate from the Rotterdam, Afrojack. And he was there rocking it. That's the thing, in Zandvoort, they really made a festival out of it. And some of the crowd walking around there, they actually forget that there's cars driving around. They're only there to drink and have fun and to come for the party. And they won the Promoter of the Year award in the past. And I think some other Grand Prix promoters are actually looking at the magic that Zandvoort did. It's a magical place, on the beachfront, and have music around the circuit. Christian Horner once called it's like racing in a discotheque all weekend. It's special.
It's, of course, the Dutch love their electronic dance music.
They love the electronic dance music.
So it is just like one
the
big...
Afrojack is, by the way, he's even taller than you. He won't fit in an F1 car. He's a big lad.
I've seen him, actually saw him at the Ultra Music Festival in Miami.
Oh, yeah.
Back in 2012, back in my EDM days. He is brilliant, isn't he?
He's brilliant, yeah.
He gets the crowd.
I mean, the V10 engine is nice, but Afrojack is also good.
We need those V10s back. It is interesting because we go from the Dutch Grand Prix now to Italy. Talk us about the difference in track, because Zandvoort, historically, very difficult overtaking.
Yeah.
What can we expect this weekend in Monza?
Aerodynamics This is a skill model F1 car. This is how they do it in the wind tunnel.
This is pegged up, and this is where you do all your work.
This is what do all the work. So the airflow has to go over the car, and they're just going to look to make sure that there's always the right balance between drag and downforce. So you want minimum drag, minimum resistance in a straight line, particularly in the tempo of speed in Monza, where you do top speeds in, back in the Minardi days, I hit 370 kph in the slipstream. That's mega. I think the fastest now is 336 in hands of 370 with the V10s. You know what, Minardi, because the wings, we had no aerodynamics. Our downforce was shit, so we took off. We just put the wings flat, and we did like a rocket we made out of it in a straight line. At least we're fast. On the braking, it was difficult because there was not a lot of support on the braking. And that's the trade-off in Monza. You want the top line speed, but you need a stable car under braking, because otherwise you lose the balance and the confidence. And you have to jump a little bit off the curbs. It's less nowadays with these models, cars with the aerodynamics under the floor, but yeah, it's all about speed in Monza.
Take us into that cockpit, Robert. What is 370 kilometers an hour? How does that look like?
Well, to explain it to you who doesn't have a driving license, I don't think that's the smartest thing.
But everyone listen.
But it becomes like a tunnel. I mean, between 300 and 370, it's not a big difference anymore. It's more like you notice it under braking that obviously you need a bit more space to get the car stopped. And the magical power of Formula One is the aerodynamics when the wings are like this. Like in Zandvoort, the wings are set up like this. Basically the opposite as with an airplane. With an airplane, the wings are set like this. The faster they go, the easier they go up in the air. F1 cars like Zandvoort, they had close to maximum downforce. They can brake so late. The first corner is called Tarzan corner. And it's a reason for it, because you approach it with 330 kph. You hit the brake pedal with about 160 kilos of force, and the car will decelerate in about 2 seconds from 360 or 330 to maybe 100 kph. It's mega. So the force on your neck is, you have the feeling your neck gets 20 centimeters longer every time you hit the brake. That's why these guys have these neck muscles. And then you get to Monza, and they just lower the rear wing again, so the car feels like it's flying, it's taking off. Yeah. And when I did IndyCar, we went negative with the rear wing. So you try to create lift, and I hit speeds of 405 kph in a straight line. But the thing is, you have no downforce when you turn in. So the wall gets very close, and in my particular situation, it got too close, so I collapsed my lung, broke a rib, and saw stars when I hit the wall. But yeah, speed in F1, this is the fastest you will see at the tempo of speed.
You hit the wall at what speed?
335 kph when I turned in. So I approached the corner at 400 kilometers. I turned in turn one, and then the damper broke on the right rear, and I hit the wall like a 50G impact.
And how quickly do you know it's gone? I'm in the
wall. Well, you just have enough time to take off your hands off the steering wheel, because if you leave your hands on, you'll break your wrist. And I just breathed at the wrong time, so I collapsed the lung, broke a rib, and there was a big one.
You breathed in at the wrong time.
Yeah.
You're taught to what? Exhale.
No, I just breathed at the wrong time, and then I hit the wall, and bam. So anyway, I was in the hospital. I did get some prize money for the biggest crash of the week. So that's also your America, right? They showed up with
gave you money.
I was there breathing like this. I thought, okay, this was a big one. And then suddenly I look at the door of my hospital room, and there's people from the organization showing up with a carton check, like you get $50,000 for the biggest crash of the month. I was like, thank you guys. I'll take that one, but I was almost dead. Yeah. But yeah, F1. I mean, it's much safer than IndyCar. Let's put it this way. You know, the speeds are high in Monza, or in the tempo of speed. But IndyCar with the concrete walls, those speeds, it's more dangerous.
I imagine there's a real kind of camaraderie amongst drivers anyway, but it's the understanding. You know, you make fun of me the fact that I don't drive. You're absolutely right, I don't. But there's a lot of people that will never get up speeds of over 300 kilometres an hour. That little cabal of you guys, all very respectful of the fact that they're the speeds that you're hitting. It is, I'm not going to say life and death, it's a bit much, but you are putting your life.
Yeah, you're sitting in this bathtub, basically, this carbon fiber bathtub that's going so fast. And even guys like, we'll talk about it later, with Valtteri Bottas coming back to Cadillac, one of the questions of a journalist was, you know, what do you miss, or what do you like so much about the sport? He said, the speed. Just considering that you have this powerful engine behind you, 1,000 horsepower that pushes you forward, and those speeds are mega. And Zandvoort feels extremely fast because it's a high downforce circuit, so you can really feel the cornering speeds up to 5G. They turn Schijfvlak, one of the fastest corners. There was in qualifying a turn in at 290 kph, 5G on the neck. That's what F1 is all about. But then you arrive in Monza and then you focus on reaching those top speeds and closing off all the seals with helicopter tape just to make sure the car is as fast as it can in a straight line. And then you have to hit the braking zone at the right time. So F1, it's the biggest difference you can get from Zandvoort to Monza in setup wise.
But again, McLaren
will probably be up there.
Be up there. No doubt about it. You mentioned Valtteri. That was the other big story from the week leading in to the Dutch Grand Prix. Cadillac.
Yeah.
Confirmation of their drivers for next year. I've seen a lot of negativity around it, actually, Robert. A lot of people questioning their ambition. They've gone for experience. Valtteri Bottas, 36 years of age.
Yeah.
Sergio Perez, 35 years of age. I caught up with his manager, Khalil Bashir, last week. Had a lovely chat with Khalil. He was talking about the fact that it felt right. There were other offers on the table for Sergio. Yeah. He admitted that, and it was quite candid from him. He said, the trials and tribulations that Liam Lawson's gone through, that Yuki Tsunoda's gone through, has given F1 fans a greater appreciation of what Sergio did as number 2 driver for Red Bull, because they've struggled so much.
Yeah.
He struggled in his final year, but by and large, he was pretty consistent. He's back with Cadillac. What do you make of the two, I'm going to say older boys, 71 between them? What do you make of the decision to go for experience?
Well, they both have some extreme valuable information up there. I mean, Valtteri Bottas back at Mercedes as reserve driver. He didn't do a lot of driving this year, but he's obviously integrated in the team so well. So don't forget, Cadillac is building up its team. It's about Andretti Global's behind it, and to have a proper functioning Formula One team, you need minimum 1,200 employees.
Yeah.
So you need to start buying some talent. So I wouldn't be surprised if some people from Mercedes might go for a new career at Cadillac. That's also part of the job. It's similar to what David Coulthard did for Red Bull back in the days, trying to lure away talent, information to help your team grow. With Sergio, it's different. I think it's political and economical reasons. And I'm not saying Sergio is not a fast driver, but Sergio didn't finish his F1 career in a nice way at Red Bull. Let's put it this way. And yes, you can compare yourself now with the second seat drivers at Red Bull who are even underperforming compared to you. But then again, it's also a worse F1 car to drive. Yeah. Sergio was in the dominant years of Red Bull. So left or right, I'm happy for him that he gets another opportunity to finish his long career in F1 in a good way for him at Cadillac with a new project. And I also heard that there were offers from Alpine to jump in mid-season, and you have to be really strong in your mind to say no to any F1 opportunity. But then this new project came along, and I think Mexico is an important market for Cadillac. So in that reason, it's good for them. They have a Mexican driver. He will for sure bring good sponsors as well, but also expertise, from one of the most successful F1 teams in recent years.
So for those questioning the ambition,
it's the oldest driver pairing on the grid, 71 years old together. But at the end of the day, experience helps a team forward in the stage where Cadillac is in. And you would say, take a risk with a young American guy, but then you're going to have Lance Stroll weekends, most likely. They will crash cars. They want to prove their worth. They will finish on a high next weekend. With these guys, at least you know what you get. They're going to be consistent. And I think most of the focus will be about running the operation, make sure the car is bulletproof, finish races, get miles under your belts. And so don't expect too much of the 11 team in their first year.
You must look at those boys, 36 and 35, and think to myself, I need to get an agent again. I need to do something.
Yeah, no. I drove a Formula 1 two-seater last weekend. Did I tell you about it?
No.
On the Thursday with a sponsor of the event. And he said, the guy, so I told him, take it easy on the lunch because I haven't been inside this cockpit for many years, but then they fired up the engine, a V8 sound. It was lovely.
Juices start flowing.
So juices start flowing, and the engine was there, and the guy, I could feel his knees behind me, and I was like, okay, I have to make this corner. So I start nudging his knee, so I turned in, and we didn't build up to high speed because we only could use half the track. But I did make some really proper donuts that at one stage I was just revving the engine. I could see smoke and rubber flying around. It was good to be back. It was good to be back. So we're going to do
a buzz.
I did get the buzz, to strap yourself in the 6-point belt, sitting there, starting the engine. It all fitted as well, the suit. So I was lucky after all this year, especially after the summer break, that it fits.
You've been at Ibiza.
Yeah, can you imagine all this stuff, all the good food. But yeah, it was good to be back. Good to be back.
What is it, that feeling of getting back in? Do you ever feel... Do you have any regrets? I've never asked you that question.
I have no regrets whatsoever. I mean, there was if there was anything, there was the first lap incident in China that I thought I got my big break at Red Bull to qualify or to race for them mid-season. And I was the fastest bull. I out-qualified David on my first try. In the wet in China, I qualified in the top 10. All the other Bulls drivers were outside of the top 10. So this was sort of the moment for me. There was the Michelin tires was performing better than the Bridgestone. So in the wet, I had a great opportunity of scoring good points. And then my friend Robert Kubica, we both arrived into turn 1 and I lost the front wing on the first lap. That was the moment like, oh, that could have changed perhaps your career. Yeah. But on the other side, I'm so blessed to have actually made it in the end of the day. There's so many drivers out there. They're good drivers, but it's impossible for them to arrive in Formula One. So.
And just on the subject of that, I'm going to wrap up soon enough for this episode. It's great to have you back.
Yeah, true.
And I've missed you.
Missed you too, man.
You talk about your experience with Red Bull. Christian Horner was your boss back then. Any whispers this past weekend as to where Mr. Horner...
Not really whispers, but when we said as well, everybody is convinced he will come back.
Convinced.
Everybody in the paddock is convinced Christian will come back. I mean, this was a settlement had to be arranged with Red Bull. So behind the scenes, a lot of lawyer stuff. And I think it's now settled because he's officially not an employee anymore of Red Bull. I think 2 weeks ago, they signed him out of the board in England and stuff like that. So for him now, it's trying to find an opportunity that fulfills his needs. And I think his needs are obviously running an operation. So he has to be the CEO, team principal. He does a good job at it, but also ownership to grow with a team. Like Toto Wolff is a part owner of the team, and that made him also a billionaire and very successful. And like Lawrence Stroll, he bought the team and it was 180 million and now it's worth 3.2 billion. So F1 is growing rapidly and there's only 1 or 2 teams that are available out there. And I think Alpine is still the number 1 option for Christian if he wants to come back. And but I'm sure the fuel runs where it cannot go. And he, I saw a picture of him sitting on a horse. So I think 1 horsepower is not for him. No. He needs at least 1,000 horsepower.
He'll be back.
He'll be back.
Make no mistake, I tell you, it is amazing. Investment in Formula One. We live in Dubai, Robert.
Yeah.
There's enough rich people. We need to get out there. We need to get a little bit of a consortium together.
Yeah.
We need to get into this F1 ownership game because there's money to be made.
It's like with the football teams. You're also into soccer. I mean, these soccer teams can explode as well in the recent years. And I think now the Saudi League is doing very well with valuations of their teams. So, but F1, it's growing rapidly. And here in the region, we get an extra race in the near future. So we have 5 races out of 24. So we're in the right time with our podcast, mate.
We certainly are. Cadillac adding to it as well. More teams in the future.
Well, I think the biggest compliment F1 can get is that there are 2 new manufacturers coming in next year. And at the end of the day, the backbone of Formula One is the manufacturers. Yes. Of course, Ferrari is number 1, but you need your Mercedes, you need your Honda engine manufacturers. And now you get Audi back and you get one of the biggest in the US, Cadillac. I mean, it's a dream come true for the American ownership.
It's in a great place.
Yeah, great place.
It is in a really good place. Listen, I've got to ask. You travel the globe. Are you away next week or are you back with that? I don't know your schedule.
No, we have nine races left. Yes, the championship. Monza, I'll be there. So unfortunately, we have to miss each other. And but the remaining 8, I'll be here with you. And we're going to finish on a high in Abu Dhabi, live from the track.
Yes, we are. And we're working on Qatar as well. Now, you did bring your lovely wife down to this wonderful location today. For anyone asking, we've had 1 or 2 questions on where we do this podcast. It is the
Stunning place.
Milli Miglia Gallery and Cafe, right in the heart of Dubai. You're right. The Michael Schumacher 2004 car has been swapped out. The backdrop for this podcast this morning is this beautiful, this is a wind tunnel model, correct, Robert?
Wind tunnel model. Exactly. So that's what most of the development is. 65% of their aerodynamics from a Formula One car is coming from these wind tunnels. And I think the most state-of-the-art wind tunnel at the moment is Aston Martin. They have the newest facilities. Therefore, I think next year's car will be mega under the design of Adrian Newey. I was
going to say.
And but there's lots more to see here. I mean, even this F1 steering wheel from Ferrari and engines and cars. It's a cool place.
It is an amazing place. Do check it out if you are here in Dubai. It is a brilliant, brilliant spot. The other thing I want to say as well to all of our listeners or viewers, if you've got any questions for Robert, not that I don't love my job and I love putting questions to Robert, but if you've got any as well, you can leave them on our Instagram page. If you're on YouTube and watching us, just leave any questions for Robert and we will pose those to you. So if you want to know anything about what it's like at certain tracks, Robert's thoughts on certain drivers, do pop your questions in. We will get them and we'll put them to you. You're open to anything, right?
Open to anything. My wife is here, so I can answer anything,
Nothing to do with parties back in the day.
True. And keep following us and subscribe because you can win tickets to be live at the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix.
You can be with us down at the Etihad Airways Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. So do follow us, do tell your friends about us, tag us in various posts as well. It's great to have you with us every single week on the podcast. It is the Pit Top Podcast, powered by Ifada. We're with you every post-race, looking back at all. And we've got Robert Doornbos, a man who's been there, seen it, done it. How many T-shirts have you got? You've got an awful lot of them as well.
A lot of T-shirts.
Have you kept all your overalls, all your helmets?
I did. I kept from each year. I kept some. Yeah. I remember I also gave one to a sponsor back in the days, and I said you can make a fruit basket out of it, or you can keep it as a memory. And I was in his office not long ago, and it was still there with the flies on it and the blood of the mosquitoes I hit and the sweat inside. So memories. Like here, lots of memories in this stunning place.
So good. Right, that is the Pit Top Podcast, powered by Ifada for another week. A reminder again, AbuDhabiGP.com. If you've never been to the Etihad Airways Abu Dhabi Grand Prix, you need to get down there. It is electrifying. You talk about the Dutch Grand Prix.
Well, it's up there. Abu Dhabi is really up there. I mean, they have a festival. You mentioned some of the artists that are going to be there. It's next level. Next level.
Who else? I think Katy Perry.
Yeah.
We're actually hoping to get Katy Perry on this podcast, as well as Benson Boone.
Oh, very cool. Very cool.
Just seeing your wife, she's excited about the prospect of Benson Boone potentially being on this podcast. So it is a great atmosphere. Yeah. It's the final race of the season.
And potentially the big final between the Drivers' Championships. I mean, every 4 or 5 years there's a big final. So looking forward to that.
So we're due a big ending, aren't we?
Yeah, after 21, it's time for another big ending. And it's possible. Remember, I compared this season a little bit to 2016 with Lewis and Nico fighting in the same team for Mercedes, obviously, back in the days. There was nothing between them. Points here, point there. Suddenly the engine failure of Lewis in Malaysia and Nico had a gap.
That's it.
And then he started to make his point. But still, he had to fight for it until the last lap in Abu Dhabi.
Fingers crossed. Right, do check in with us next week. Of course, we will be reflecting on the Italian Grand Prix. Of course, Monza, the venue, this coming weekend. But that is the Pit Top Podcast, powered by Ifada, the one and only Robert Doornbos, myself, Chris McHardy. I look forward to being back with you again very soon.